June 6, 1944. Before the sun rises over Europe, history is already awake. The sea is restless, the sky is heavy, and tens of thousands of young men wait in silence, knowing that in a few hours many of them will not return. This is today, the day that would decide the fate of World War II. By 1944, Nazi Germany controlled most of Western Europe. France was occupied, cities were crushed, and millions of people lived under fear, hunger, and violence. The Allies knew that if Hitler was ever going to be defeated, they had to do the impossible, launch the largest amphibious invasion in human history. The plan was called Operation Overlord. It took years of preparation, absolute secrecy, millions of soldiers, and thousands of ships. Everything depended on one single morning. The target was Normandy, France. 5 beaches were chosen, each with a code name that would soon be remembered forever: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Each beach would become a battlefield, and for many, a final resting place. The German defenses were strong, the coastline was heavily fortified, and the odds of survival were terrifyingly low. Hours before the beach landings, the first soldiers entered enemy territory. American and British paratroopers jumped into complete darkness, scattered across fields, villages, and flooded land. Many missed their drop zones, some drowned under the weight of their equipment, others were killed before they even touched the ground. Isolated and surrounded, they fought anyway, creating chaos behind enemy lines and holding key positions so the invasion could succeed. At dawn, the sea came alive. More than 150,000 Allied soldiers crossed the English Channel and headed straight into gunfire. Nowhere was the fighting more brutal than on Omaha Beach. German machine guns tore through the landing forces. Boats were destroyed before reaching the shore, and the water filled with bodies and debris. Soldiers pinned to the sand searched desperately for cover that barely existed, while explosions shook the beach without mercy. Yet even in the face of overwhelming fire, the advance did not stop. Soldiers crawled forward inch by inch, dragging the wounded, carrying fallen comrades, and charging enemy bunkers under constant fire. Medics ran towards screams instead of away from them. Officers led attacks knowing they might not survive, and ordinary men performed extraordinary acts of courage. Fear was everywhere, but so was determination. Slowly and painfully, the tide began to turn. Allied forces broke through German defenses, climbed the cliffs, and destroyed key strongholds. By the end of the day, the beaches of Normandy were no longer just occupied territory. They were the beginning of liberation, but the victory came at a terrible cost. More than 10,000 Allied soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing in a single day. D-Day did not end World War II, but it changed the course of history. It opened the road to Paris, led to the liberation of Western Europe, and marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. The men who fought on June 6th were not heroes because they were fearless. They were heroes because they were afraid and moved forward anyway. They were sons, brothers, and friends who carried the weight of history on their shoulders. D-Day is remembered not for glory, but for sacrifice. Freedom was not given. It was taken at an unimaginable price, paid in blood on the sands of Normandy. June 6, 1944, remains the longest day, the day the world began to change forever.